Hello everyone. So in general, I am a really big fan of Kosas, and I have used many of their products very frequently over the past 3 years or so. And I realized I had never done a full brand review for this company, and so I thought that what I would do is put on a full face of all Kosas makeup and then talk about each of the products that they are currently offering and my experiences with each of them. And I shot the footage of me putting on the makeup yesterday, and so I will insert that footage as I talk about each product. So first, a little bit of information about me. I'm 59 years old and I have dry and sensitive skin, and I have never had any kind of cosmetic procedures such as injections or surgery, and I don't intend to ever do that. So it's my hope with makeup and skincare that I can look a little bit fresher and maybe even a little bit younger. And over the past 3 years or so, I have tried more than 1,000 makeup products and more than 1,000 skincare products. And so I have a really good basis of comparison for everything new that I try. And I have found that there are certain ingredients that always do irritate my skin. And I know that those are ingredients that tend to be very irritating for many other people as well. So I just don't talk about any products with those ingredients here on this channel. So Kosas was founded in 2015 by a woman who is called Sheena Zada Daly. She previously went by a different name, but seems to have changed her name really recently. And she said she started playing with making cosmetics when she was a little girl, and she found it to be really fun. And she started out the company by making lipsticks. She said that her first lipsticks were in kind of earthy tones, but they also became known for making fairly bright colored lipsticks in different shades of red early on. And early on, this was a brand that was really highly supported by Gwyneth Paltrow, and she actually said that those lipsticks were her favorite lipsticks at the time. And Kosas has always been known as a company that is focusing on both clean beauty and also makeup as skincare. Now, I will say that earlier on, they seemed to be focused more on people who are in their 30s or maybe older than that, including Gwyneth Paltrow. But I think that more recently, over the past year or so, they seem to have made a real emphasis to be targeting people who are younger. So people who are in their, looks like teens and 20s based on what they have on their website. And that seems to be reflected also in the packaging and the shades that they are choosing for the makeup. So in terms of putting on makeup, the only thing that I put on before I put on this full face of makeup was this Jones Road Oil-Free Moisturizer, which I think is a very nice product. I think it serves almost a little bit as a primer on my face. And so when I wear a makeup, especially one that I know has some moisturizing ingredients in it, and also that I want to protect my face from a little bit, then I will often use a product like this, which I think does put a little bit of a tacky feeling on my face and serve as a little bit of a barrier against other products that I might put on it. And then next I'm going to focus on my brows, and I do have very light and very sparse brows, so I always do put on some kind of a brow product every day. I think that's really important. And of the brow products that I have tried, the ones that I have liked the most are the ones from Jane Iredale and from Jones Road, and also from Kosas. And I do use the Kosas products very frequently, and I think that at least for me, they have been among the best products that I have tried, and I have tried a lot of them. So with the Kosas products, I always put down an eyebrow pencil first in order to fill in my brows and to give a lot of color. And then I will put on a tinted brow gel over them to make it look more realistic. So the tinted brow gel will take the tiny little colorless hairs that I have and make them look like actual brow hairs. So the brow pencil that I have used the most over the past few years has been around for a while, and it is called the Kosas Brow Pop. It comes in this purple packaging, which makes it easy to find. It has a spoolie on one end, and then it has the tip on the other, and it is a retractable pencil, which I do like. And I would say that of most brow pencils that are out there, they come in one of two different kinds. One is sort of like the Anastasia Brow Wiz, which is a really micro, tiny little tip on the pencil. And the other kind is one that's a triangular type of a tip. And I would say that for the most part, the ones that are really skinny micro pencils, those have a little bit of a tendency to break. And the triangular ones, an awfully lot of those don't really give me a line that looks like it's natural. So I think that this one is sort of in between. So if you can tell, it has a tip that is slanted, so it's not just a really skinny tip, and I do feel like it's thin enough and versatile enough that I can create a really kind of a natural brow look very quickly, much more quickly than with most brow pencils that I have used. And I think that it does look fairly natural, and I do think that they have a really nice wide range of colors, and the one that I use is the lightest color, which is taupe. It's cool, and so I think it goes well with my graying hair. They also have one that's gray, which you might be interested in if you have a naturally darker hair that is going gray. And there are 10 shades of this altogether. And I have had this particular pencil for quite a long time, and I've used it quite frequently, and I think that it has held up really well. It's still performing well for me, and I have not had any breakage with it. I've not had it get dull. And so I think that in terms of all of the brow pencils that I've used, I really do like this one very much. And then last year they came out with a Nano version of their brow pencil, which is a much smaller one. It is in a container that is more like a metallic rather than a plastic. And again, it has a spoolie on one side, and it has a very, very small tip on the other side. It is really the smallest eyebrow pencil tip that I have seen. So that made me really nervous. My assumption was that it was going to break. So I've had this for about 6 months or so, and I got it right when it came out, and it has not broken on me, and I've used it quite a lot. But what I do think is that it's sort of become more difficult to draw a line on my eyes. It's almost like it's become kind of fuzzy or a little bit oily or something from picking up the oils on my skin. So I don't feel like it is very easy to fill in my brows with this pencil at this time. So I have used, in the video footage, I used this on one eye, and I used the Brow Pop, the regular one, on the other eye. But eventually I got really sick of trying to make this one work, and I just went in and filled in the rest of it with the regular Brow Pop. So I do think it worked well for me for a while, and I am happy that it didn't break, but I do think that even though this is slightly less expensive, you're getting less product, and I think that the time that you may be able to use it is more limited. So I definitely think that the regular Brow Pop is a better deal, and that is the one that I'm going to continue buying in the future. But if you just want to fill in a few really tiny micro hairs it's really important to you that they look really thin and you're willing to replace it on a regular basis, maybe, then this could be a really good choice. And that Brow Pop Nano, it's only available in 6 shades. So they do make one that is the taupe shade, that is the same color that I was using in the larger pencil, but they don't make a gray one, and there's a lot of other shades that they don't make as well. Now, I have had a lot of problems with tinted brow gels. I have purchased a whole lot of them, and very few of them have worked out to my satisfaction. So of the ones that I have really liked, I would say that this Kosas one is at the top of the list, and I think it does very easily create a natural brow look where it's taking a lot of the hairs that are much more fine and that don't have any colors and making them look like they have their actual brow hairs. And so if I put this on over the pencil, then I think it looks much more natural and much more attractive. And I have had actually my first tube of this product for well over 2 years, I think, and amazingly enough, even though I've used it very frequently, it still seems to be workable for me. And I'm a little nervous to use it because it has been so long, but in terms of the amount of product that's in the tube and how well it has worked for an extended period of time, I think that that is really at the top of the heap in terms of all of the eyebrow gels that I have tried. Most of them actually arrive all dried up so that they're not usable at all. So having one that is usable for so long when I've used it so frequently has really been a surprise. And I think this one does come in pretty much all the same colors as the eyebrow pencil, and so there is a really good selection of colors to choose from, which I think is really important if you want to have a natural look. So Kosas does also make an untinted brow gel, and that one seems to have quite a different purpose. The goal of that brow gel seems to be for people who have a lot more brow hairs than I do and who have hairs that are more on the unruly side to put them into place. So it has a little bit more of sort of a lacquer type feeling to it, but I did try that, and I don't think that it was irritating to my eyes at all. In a lot of cases, those kinds of products do tend to have a lot of chemicals in them, sort of like hairspray, and they tend to be kind of very irritating for me. But in this case, I thought that they were perfect. It was perfectly fine in terms of how it felt for me, and I know a lot of other people do really like that product. So Kosas does not make a color corrector, and I do feel like I do a lot better in terms of covering up the dark circles under my eyes if I use a color corrector. So in this case, I am just using a little bit of the Bobbi Brown Skin color correcting stick in the shade Light Bisque. And this is one of my favorite makeup products, and it does go on super fast. So I thought that I would put it on underneath the concealer that I'm going to use. And then the next product that I want to talk about is the Revealer Concealer, which is one of their Holy Grail products, along with those eyebrow products, actually. And the Revealer Concealer comes in 38 shades, and there's also minis in 6 shades. And it is a product that has a lot of skincare ingredients in it. It says that it has squalane, sodium hyaluronate. It has caffeine, which is supposed to be depuffing for the eye area. And it has a tripeptide 5, which is supposed to be an anti-aging peptide to help with wrinkles. And it has some vitamin C. It also has some algae extract in it. That always makes me a little bit nervous when I see algae on an ingredient list, because I always think that there's a possibility that it could be contaminated with cyanobacteria toxin, but in this case I haven't had any problems at all reacting to this product. It has worked absolutely fine for me in terms of really everything, but especially in terms of it feeling good on my skin. And I'm not really seeing anything problematic at all in terms of the ingredient list. It does tend to be a little bit low in terms of preservatives, so it only has a 6-month usage life to it, and I think that that is okay. I would rather have something with less preservatives in it that is going to not irritate my skin personally. So it's usually the case when I try out a concealer that comes in a tube like this and that has a doe foot that goes along with it, that this tends to really not look very good on my skin. I tend to do a lot better with cream concealers that come in a pot and that don't seem to emphasize my wrinkles nearly as much. And then a lot of these water-based type concealers do seem to make my wrinkles look a lot worse. And I have not really found that to be the case with this concealer. I actually feel like I can use it all over my face, including in the area around my eyes, and that it really does look okay. So that is a really good thing. And it is also one of the concealers that I have found that has worked really well in terms of it being an eyelid primer. So I feel like this is a good product because it is really gentle. It hasn't irritated my eyelids or my eyes at all. So I feel like I can just put on a little bit of this and then smear it around with my finger, and that it covers up all of the darkness on my eyelids, and it provides a nice base for eyeshadow. So I've done that many, many times, and it works really well for that. I really use it more as an eyelid primer than I do as a concealer for my face. I think I do really prefer a lot of the cream-based concealers for use on my face, but I think this one works much better than most of the other ones in a tube like this that I have tried. Now, there has been a lot of talk about the question of whether or not these Kosas concealers might go bad. So some people have claimed that theirs has gone moldy, and then other people have suggested that maybe it was just from the oxidation and the color changed. I don't know about that. I haven't heard from anybody that has said that that has happened to them before 6 months. So I think that if you buy this, you might want to conclude that it's just going to be for 6 months months and then you're going to buy a new tube or move on to something else. So for me, I have not found that to happen at all. So I have had one of these tubes for nearly 3 years, and I have not seen that it's changed color at all. Now, I have 2 different colors of this. One of these is an older tube, and then I purchased a new one. So the one that I have on the top here is 2.5C, and then the one that I have below is 3W. And in general, Kosas has a reputation for running a little bit on the yellow side, and I didn't realize that when I first purchased the one that's on the 3W. So I think that is too yellow for me, but I don't think it's super bad, and I was able to make it work for a while. And that one that is the warmer one, that one is more than 3 years old. And I would say that it has not changed color at all over the past 3 years, and it really doesn't seem to have oxidized. It still seems to be fine. It still doesn't seem to be annoying. I am disinclined to use it because it is getting so old, but I think that it's not necessarily going to be the case that these are going to go bad right away, although I think it's probably a good idea, since there is that 6-month usage life, not to plan to use it for more than 6 months. Now, one good thing about the Kosas concealer is that they do make mini versions of them for $15, and they do come in not as many shades, but in a variety of shades. So if you feel comfortable with one of those shades, and if you are uncomfortable with the idea of buying a new full-size concealer every 6 months, then you might consider the mini ones. And I think that that is something that I could probably make work for me also, based on the shades that they're offering. So now let's talk about the Kosas Revealer Foundation. So this is available in 36 shades, and it is supposed to be medium coverage, and it is supposed to have a lot of skincare benefits in it. So it has pretty much the same sorts of ingredients as the Kosas Revealer Concealer. It has sodium hyaluronate, squalane, caffeine, tripeptide 5, some niacinamide in it. It doesn't have any silicone. It doesn't have any fragrance. I think that it has a very nice texture to it. I think it looks very nice on my skin. I think that especially since it doesn't have any silicones in it, that it does a very nice job even straight out of the bottle in terms of looking nice on my skin and not exacerbating my wrinkles, which many foundations that don't have silicone in them, that are more heavier coverage, they do make my wrinkles look a lot worse, and I haven't found that to be the case with this foundation at all. Now, the other thing about this foundation to know is that it is an SPF foundation. It has SPF of 25, and it has 2 ingredients in it that are sunscreen ingredients. So one of them is zinc oxide, which is just a regular mineral sunscreen that is in many things. And then it also has a second ingredient in it that is called ethyl ferulate. And ethyl ferulate is officially known as a sunscreen booster. So the idea is that if you put it into a sunscreen with formula with other kinds of sunscreen in it, then it helps them to work better. But what it actually seems to be the case is that it's actually a sunscreen itself, and that it's operating really just like any other chemical sunscreen that actually has been approved. And it's chemically similar to octinoxate, but that they haven't gone through the approval process through the FDA, so they can't say it's a sunscreen. They can only put it in sunscreens, and then it creates that higher SPF. So this is something that I talked about in depth in my last video, where I talked about Kosas BB Burst, and I talked about other products that are sunscreen boosters. So if you're interested in that topic, you can take a look at that. Now, my own experience is that really with all of the SPF foundations that I have used, that they all really have irritated my skin at least a little bit, and I am not sure exactly why that is the case, but I am thinking that the reason for that is, at least in part, because most of them do have unregulated chemical sunscreens in them. So in this case, I feel that of the SPF foundations that I have used, this one has actually been less irritating than most of them. It really just is slightly irritating to my skin, so on occasion I have used it, especially if I am going to be getting some sun. And what I tend to find is that if I put down some kind of a primer underneath it, then that does help a lot. So in this case, I put down a little bit of that Jones Road oil-free moisturizer, which I think is actually acting a lot like a primer. Now again, with Kosas, I think that the colors are supposed to run warm, and I do think that that's the case with this one. So I have tried a few different shades. The one that I am putting on in the video footage is shade 120, which I got in a little sample bottle, and that is supposed to be very light with mildly cool undertones. I think that that is too light for me, maybe a little bit too pink, but I still think it looks okay. And based on my experiments at Sephora, the one that I think would work best for me would probably be the light neutral with subtle pink undertones, which is shade 140. And now we have still another Holy Grail product from Kosas, and that is their Kosas Cloud Set Powder. And I have heard many people really like this powder, and I am one of those people. So it is available in 10 shades, and then there is a mini version that is available in 4 of the shades for $18. So if you're interested in just trying it out, the mini could be a good place to start. And this is a talc-free powder. It's based on mica and silica. It's made in Italy, and it has some jojoba oil in it and some bamboo stem powder. And my feeling about this is that I really like it because I feel like really any foundation that I use it with, or if I'm not wearing any foundation at all, it has worked really well for me, no matter what. And I certainly would say that of all the powders that I have, this one has been the one that I have used the most over time. So it came with looking pretty, with a pretty big hill on the top of this powder, and I've used up quite a lot of it. So I have really liked it. And this powder I've had for at least a couple years, and it still seems to be going strong. It's supposed to have a 24-month usage life, and I would say that the usage life should be at least that based on my experience. I think that part of the reason why it has worked so well for me is because it is so finely milled, and I do think it's also just a really good formula. I have the shade Feathery, which I think is supposed to be for skin that is a little bit darker than mine, but I think that that's actually been a good choice for me, and that I appreciate just a really light dusting of a powder that's a little bit darker. But I am not at all trying to bake with this product. I think that baking is something that might not be as appropriate for people with skin like mine, where there's some wrinkles and some dryingness to it. I think that it's much better for me to just put on a very minimal amount of powder just where I really do see shine, rather than trying to do anything that's really giving me coverage with powder. Now, there are certain circumstances that I do think that other powder works better, and in particular, I really like the Jones Road powder if I'm wearing either a cream foundation or if it's the summer, because there's a lot of cornstarch in that, so it does tend to absorb oil a lot. And so if I put on the Jones Road powder over, for instance, the Jones Road foundation or another cream foundation, then it does give a base that's much less sticky. And this Kosas powder doesn't work as well for that. But I really think that if I had to pick just one powder to use forever, for the rest of my life, for everything, this would by far be at the top of the list. I really do like it. And the next product is the Sunshow Bronzer. So this is a powder bronzer. It's made in Italy. It's available in 5 shades. And it has just a little bit of a shimmer to it. So it's not real shimmery. I don't know if you would exactly say that it's a highlighter, but it definitely does give a noticeable amount of shimmer to the skin. So for me, that's a little bit different than what I'm usually looking for in a bronzer. What I tend to do with bronzers is to get one that's totally matte, and then to use it fairly liberally, but lightly, but pretty much, consistently over the whole top half of my face, and then a little bit on the bottom, and quite a bit on my neck. So I think that for that, a bronzer that is matte works much better. And then if I want a little bit of a bronzy highlight, then I will use a little bit of a cream bronzer over the top of that. So with this bronzer, that is not going to work because it already has a little bit of a shimmer to it. So I feel like I'm much more using this as sort of just like a highlighting bronzer, or a bronzy highlighter even, where I'm just putting a little bit of it on my cheekbones and a little bit like here, but I'm not trying to put very much of it on my forehead, because I actually feel like if I put this on my forehead, I start to look like I'm sweaty, which is really not my goal. So I think that for some people, this kind of shimmery type of a bronzer in a powder form, that they might like that a lot. But I think that that's one of the reasons why I haven't gotten a lot of use out of this. And the other reason I think is because it does have a little bit of a smell, and I'm not even quite sure what the reason for that is. And I think I've heard about this from a lot of people. It smells just really like makeup, I guess, but it definitely does have a bit of a smell, and I'm not sure what the reason is. At first, I kind of thought that maybe it was some of the ingredients going a little bit rancid or bad, but then they came out with a whole new version of this in new packaging, and it smelled exactly the same, so it's obviously something that's on the ingredient list. So I don't think that you should take that smell as indicating that the product is not good, but it's not necessarily a smell that I like that much. So the lightest shade of this, which I also have, I'm not sure what I did with that one. That one is really not, in my opinion, a bronzer at all. That one is really more like a peachy color highlighter. And then this one is the second shade. This is called Beachy. And I actually do really like the color of this. I think that it has kind of a peachiness to it, which I think goes really well with my skin tone. So what I did in the video footage, and actually on my face today, is that I just put a little bit on like it's blush. And I think that it works fairly well for that, because I do like a blush that has a little bit of a shimmer to it. And this one seems like a very neutral type of a peachy blush, which I think is actually attractive. So I kind of feel like I would like to get a little bit more use out of this, but I kind of don't really like that smell that much. And then next I have the Kosas Undressed eyeshadow palette. And this was released, I think, before Christmas, and it seems to be kind of going out of stock now, so I'm not sure it's available on the Kosas website, and I have still seen it at Credo and on Sephora, so if you're interested in it, then you could still get it, and I wonder if they might be putting it on sale at some point. This is a palette with 8 different shades in it. 7 of these are mattes. One of these is slightly shimmery. And I would say that pretty much all of these colors lean warm. And then in general, Kosas seems to lean warm with regard to everything. So I think they're kind of giving you a little bit of a beachy type of a look. And that certainly is the case with this eyeshadow palette. The eyeshadow palette is made in the US, so that's a sign for me usually that that's not going to be my favorite type of an eyeshadow formula. My experience has been that of the powder eyeshadows that I have liked, that they have all been from Italy. They're probably all from the same factory in Italy. And so whatever that factory has figured out in terms of making talc-free eyeshadow palettes, they really know what they're doing there. So this one is from the US, and I would say that especially since it's a talc-free formula, it's kind of serviceable, and it's not one that I feel like I really enjoy using. So between that and between the color palette, which I think that more cool shadows are coming more into style now, and so the fact that this one is all warm and that it's all mattes, that's not going to be real attractive to a lot of people. It's also a little bit expensive, especially since it's in just a cardboard container, but I don't find the container to be problematic, and I think that the mirror in this container is very nice, so that has not been an issue for me at all. Now that is a palette that I do feel that it's really, really important for me to put down a good base underneath it, because when I have tried to use it just right on my dry eyelids, it really has not stuck to them at all. But when I have used the Kosas Revealer Concealer or other things on it, I think it works much better. So I think that that is really important. And on the good side, I do think that even when I put it right on my eyes, it hasn't caused any irritation at all. So that part has been very good. And then the next product that I have here is the product that an awfully lot of people seem to really, really not like at all, and that is the Kosas Glow IV. So this is similar to the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. It's a liquid highlighter. They are saying that you should be able to either mix it with your foundation, or you can put it on all over your face under your foundation. And I think that the real issue with this product is that it's really just too metallic. shiny to do that. And if you do that, even if you put it on underneath a pretty heavy foundation, certainly if you put it on under the Kosas Revealer foundation, which is not even that heavy, you're going to look very, very shiny. So that's not such a great idea in my opinion. Maybe if you're really young and you like that kind of a look, then that could be a good thing. And I don't think that all of the reviews of this product are really bad, and I do think that there are some people that don't mind it, but maybe they don't mind looking shiny like that. But I think that's kind of going out of style, and certainly for my age, I wouldn't use it that way. I do think that it's been acceptable for me when I've just used a small amount and put it on a very small amount just as a regular highlighter. I think it's actually kind of pretty that way. It comes in a bunch of different shades, and it's supposed to match your skin tone. And one thing that I did find out at Sephora is that if I use the wrong skin tone, it looked really, really bad on me. But if I use the one that's actually close to my skin tone, then it really seems to mute down a lot, and I can use it and not have it be an embarrassing amount of shimmer, and then it just looks kind of nice if I just use a small amount of it. Now there is one video that I did when I was reviewing the Westman Atelier liquid highlighter. I did a video where I took all of the liquid highlighters that I did and I mixed each one of them with a bit of moisturizer, and I put them all over my face to see if I could get a little bit of a healthy type of a glowy look. And I would say for this to work with this product, I had to use a teeny tiny little bit of it because it does go metallic very fast, even if it's just mixed with moisturizer. Now, it doesn't irritate my skin, and so that part is good. I feel like it's been very kind to my skin. It's supposed to be infused with glutathione, vitamin D, and vitamin K. I don't know if that makes any difference, but I feel like my skin likes the product in terms of how it feels on it, and I feel like if I'm very, very cautious with it, that it doesn't look bad. I think that this is actually just using a tiny bit of it. I think that's actually a kind of a pleasant look. I don't really mind the smell to it. It does have a little bit of a floral type of a fragrance to it. So I think that there are some good things about this. I don't hate it as much as a lot of people seem to hate it, but I also am having a hard time figuring out how I will ever use up this much of this tube. The shade that I have is called Spark, and it is supposed to be a pearly light champagne, and I do think that that is a really nice shade for my skin. So the one type of product that Kosas does not make is blush. So in the past they made a cream blush and a powder blush, and then they sold off all of those products at a discount, and I have been waiting for them to release a new blush, but so far they have not done that. So I pulled out this old blush of theirs, which is called Velvet Melon, and there's a highlighter here and a blush, and I tried putting on a little bit of that blush, and I kind of realized why I had never really liked this blush when I tried this out. I don't think that it goes on very well. I think that this particular shade kind of disappeared into my face, and then when I put on more, it looked kind of patchy and a little bit sort of not that pleasant to use. So I think that they did right in getting rid of their blushes, and I hope that they will come out with a blush that's better in the future. And so I ended up just putting on a little bit of one of the Kosas lipsticks, and I think that that actually worked fine for me. And then the next product that I have here is a liquid eyeshadow, and I actually have 3 colors in this liquid eyeshadow, I think because I got some of them for free as a gift with purchase. And so you can see the 3 shades that I have here. The ones that I have are swatched as Blaze on the top, then Fiery, and then Heat. And these are called the Kosas 10-Second Eyes, and they are supposed to be just something that you can swipe onto your eyelids. And I tried this a few times, and I don't feel like I ever got too much use out of them. But what I found out as I was making this video actually is that if I put them on over a matte eyeshadow like the ones in this Kosas Undressed palette, that actually looks kind of nice, that they actually kind of make a matte powder eyeshadow, or maybe even one with a little bit of shimmer in it, that brings it a little bit of life to it. And so now I kind of have a new interest in this particular product. So I'm still not sure that it's something that I would bother to use on a regular basis, but at least it's something that I think has a little bit more potential to it. And so I might go back and try to use this with a few of the other matte eyeshadow palettes that I have, just to see if it helps them along a little bit also. And again, as with many of the Kosas products, I have found that this has been less irritating than many other competitors. I don't think it's irritated my eyelids at all, and I do have very, very sensitive eyelids. And I will say that this product does go on very fast, and that once I put it down, that it stays down pretty well. I think the main issue with this is that really all of these colors look really kind of a little bit too reddish for me, and they're not really necessarily the colors that I would pick to put on my eyelids. So if they had a wider color range, I might like it a lot more. And then next I have the Kosas mascara, which is called the Big Clean. I think that this mascara has been out at least since 2020 or 2021, so it's a few years old. And I would say that when it first came out, it was probably one of the better mascaras on the market that had a pretty good ingredient list. So I've had this tube for a while, but I just opened it now, so I've been able to use it a few times since I opened it. And I think it's a lot better than I remembered it being. It doesn't seem real clumpy to me. It goes on pretty well. I think it lasts pretty well, so I kind of like it. I don't think it's nearly as good as some of the other mascaras that have been released more recently. I tend to be a real big fan of tubing mascaras, so I really like the Calorie one. I kind of like the Merit one. And the Westman Atelier one, that one's really expensive, but I really did like that one a lot also. So there's a lot more mascaras out there that are really exceptional, and I think this one is more on the acceptable side. And but I haven't found that it's irritated my eyes at all, and it's not been unacceptably clumpy, and it seems to wear pretty well, even if I go outside in the wind and walk my dog with it. So overall, I think it's a reasonably good quality mascara, even though I probably wouldn't buy it again. So next I swatched a bunch of different lip products, so I will talk about each kind of lip product while I show you the versions that I have. So the first one is the Kosas LipFuel Lip Balm. These are $18, and they are available in 3 colors in addition to a clear one. And it's actually under the name Kosasport, so they are suggesting that this is more of a sport type product, I guess. And it does feel really good on my lips in terms of the feeling and the texture of it. I do think it's very hydrating. The ingredients that are in this, it includes a peptide 1, which is in many different kinds of lip glosses and lip products now. That's supposed to be plumping. It also has shea butter, grapeseed oil, avocado oil, evening primrose oil, and sodium hyaluronate. And then it also has lanolin in it, and I think that this is a very mildly irritating product for my lips. So if I wear it just on occasion, I think I do okay with it, but if I start wearing it too frequently, then I do think it's slightly irritating to my lips. So I wonder if the reason for that is because of the lanolin. I suspect that I may be slightly allergic to lanolin, and it also has some limonene and some mint oil in it, so that could be an issue also. And it has lactic acid, which I think is probably okay for my lips. I don't mind the flavor of this at all. I think it's actually quite pleasant, and I think that it is really pretty. I think the colors are really nice. I think it goes on very nice. And I think that I can understand why this is a popular product, because if it weren't irritating my lips, I think it would be one of my go-to type products, especially when I'm out and about. But I feel like I really need to restrict my usage of it, because it does tend to irritate my lips if I use it too much. But I definitely can see why people like it so much, and especially why young people like it so much. It's sort of like an intro to makeup, a starter type of a lip product. And then the next product that I have here is the Wet Plumping Treatment Gloss. So this is a product that is applied with a small doe foot. and it is available in a number of different colors, and it has a lemonade type flavor that I think is fairly pronounced and that I don't really like all that much. The flavoring ingredients in this are orange oil, limonene, linalool, and then it also has some lactic acid in it. So I think that the citrus oils in this are really a little bit too much for me. And this one tends to be a little bit irritating if I use it very often as well. I do think it looks nice on my lips. I think that the texture is very nice. And it contains sodium hyaluronate, tripeptide 1 again, avocado oil, and evening primrose oil. So it's not supposed to be irritating to the lips. It's not supposed to have like hot pepper or anything like that in it. It is really just supposed to be giving plumping because I think of that tripeptide 1 and the other ingredients in it, and it is supposed to be hydrating. So I think that if you're looking for a plumping lip gloss that is not irritating to your lips, then this could be one to consider, especially if you know that you do well with citrus oils on your lips. But I think that for me, that is something that's probably not the greatest thing to put on my lips. So next we have the Kosas Weightless Lip Color. So this was introduced as their first product almost 10 years ago, I guess. So it's been quite a long time. And they did redo the line last year, so they took away really all of the brighter colors, or almost all of the brighter colors, and they replaced them with kind of neutrals in nude colors or pinkish type colors. So they seem to be much more appropriate probably for young people that are not wearing a lot of bright lipsticks. And of course, some people really like the old shades and were disappointed to see them go away. It was interesting that they didn't change the formula, that it's really the same formula and it's just new shades and new packaging. And I think that as lipstick formulas that were created back 10 years ago, I think these are really terrific probably. They're a clean formula. They haven't been irritating to my lips. They perform pretty well. And I think that they look nice. So they're very good stalwart type of formula. I think that if we compare them to a lot of the lipsticks that are being brought out today, the ones that we have out today, they tend to be more pleasant to the lips. They're sort of more, they go on more easily. They are hydrating to the lips. So I would say that 3 years ago when I first started looking into makeup, that these were among the best lipsticks that were on the market. But I would say that now there are quite a few other lipsticks on the market that are much better that have been released since then, at least as far as I'm concerned. So the one downside in terms of my not wearing them very often is the fact that they do have a really strong vanilla flavor to them. And then they also have a little bit of limonene and also orange oil in them. And so those are ingredients that I also am a little bit hesitant in terms of they're making my lips a little bit drier or irritated. So even though I think these are pretty and I wear them on occasion, I would not have them be my #1 usual lipsticks, really because of the smell and the taste. And then the Kosas Wet Sticks, which were introduced last year, those really have the same sort of a smell to them. So they have a lot of vanilla in them, and they have some orange oil. And it is really unfortunate for me with regard to these, because if it weren't for that, I would think that these are really terrific. And I really do like them when I put them on, although if I wear them too often, that just starts to get annoying. But I do think that these are super pretty and that they feel super good on my lips. So they're more like a sheer tinted balm, and they have squalane, sodium hyaluronate, some ceramides, mango butter, and they're all nude type colors, but I think that they are really pretty and they would be really wearable. So if I was looking for a lipstick that had some artificial vanilla in it, I think that these would be really terrific because I really do like them apart from that. So now there's a little bit of a grab bag of other products that left to talk about, and so I will talk about those starting with the products that I like the most and then working down to the products that I have liked the least. So the one that I have used really, really frequently and that I do intend to continue to purchase and to use is the Kosasport Chemistry Deodorant. So this is a deodorant that is based on AHAs. It has lactic acid, mandelic acid, and shikimic acid in it. And then there's also some hyaluronic acid, which I guess is moisturizing. But in any case, this is not trying to cover up any odor. It's not keeping you from sweating, but it rather is working on the bacteria that creates the odor itself. So I think that this has worked remarkably well for me. It's been very gentle. This does not have a scent to it, which I really appreciate. They do have some that are scented, so if you prefer a scented deodorant, then I think that those are natural scents. And so I think that this has been a really good product. I also do like the Necessaire version of this, and there's also one from Drunk Elephant. This is a rollerball, and the Necessaire one is also a rollerball. And the Drunk Elephant one is more like a cream that comes in a stick. And I think all three of these have worked really well for me. So I think that this one actually may be my favorite one, but I'm happy to use those other two as well. And then the next one that I have here is the Kosas Plump and Juicy Lip Treatment, which is just a balm that is inside of this little tube, and it has a slanted applicator so that you can put it directly on your lips. It has castor oil, shea butter, jojoba oil, sodium hyaluronate, sunflower oil, and then tripeptide 1, which is supposed to be a plumping peptide. It doesn't have any purposeful ingredients in it that are supposed to irritate your lips, so that part is good. I definitely don't want that. And it does, however, have a little bit of orange oil in it. In this case, I really don't notice that orange oil at all, and I have not found it to be irritating at all. Overall, I kind of like this product. I think it feels pretty good to me. It tastes pretty good to me. I think it was pretty good for my lips. The reason that I did not use it more is probably a small reason, which is that it seemed like it was very stiff, especially in the cold weather, but really all the time. And that it took quite a bit of effort to get any of it all out of the tube. So I did not finish this tube up, and I think now it has started to go bad. I think castor oil does have a limited usage time to it, and after a while, if you just have castor oil, especially as the main ingredient in the product, then it does start to have a negative taste to it, in my opinion. And that seems to be what happened with this, but it's been well over a year, so it only has a year usage life, so I should have expected that to happen. And I probably wouldn't buy it again just because I didn't finish up this one. Kosas also makes a body product that is like a body wash, and it is called Good Body Skin that you're supposed to, I guess, use in the shower. And this is another AHA type of a product. It has glycolic acid, mandelic acid, and lactic acid in it, and then it has some papaya extract and bromelain, so it has, those are enzyme type of products. And I feel like this is primarily designed to exfoliate the skin in a chemical type of a way. So especially if you have something like KP and little bumps on your arms or other parts of your body, that this may be helpful for you. You know, I think there was one point in my life where I did have issues like that, and I think that having more omega-3s in my diet and less omega-6s may have been what has cleared that up for me. But in any case, I don't feel like I have issues like that on my body right now that I need to address with a AHA type of a formula. And I feel like for the shower, I really do better if I just have organic bar soap that is really high quality, and that I really don't do as well with any kind of a body wash. And then the other issue with this product is that it only has scented versions of it, and the scented version that I tried, I wasn't that crazy about the scent. So I ended up giving this away, and I think that if this is the type of a product that you're looking for, that it certainly could be one that's worth trying, and some people do really like it, but I ended up not getting that much use out of it. And then the next product that I have here is the Kosas Plump and Juicy Vegan Collagen Plus Probiotic Spray-On Serum. So I just have the small version of this, and then there's a larger version that's available for $48. And this is a product that is designed to be sprayed directly on the skin prior to using moisturizer, and it has a lactobacillus ferment in it, and usually I do really well with fermented ingredients, and I feel like some of the products that I've used that have ferments in them have been some of the best things for my skin. I do think that I have a very weak microbiome, and that adding some good bacteria to my skin can be super helpful to it. And this also has sodium hyaluronate in it, and that it has tripeptide 37, which is a peptide that is supposed to help to plump the skin with water. So I was kind of excited about this product because it does have the probiotics in it, and because I usually do well with both peptides and sodium hyaluronate. But I did find this to be irritating, and you can actually see in this video where I sprayed some on my face that my face immediately turned red. I don't know that it lasts for that long when it turns red like that, but after doing some experimentation with that, I really don't feel like it's doing my skin any favors, and that the more that I use it, I don't think this is helping my skin at all. I think that my skin quality is going down a bit when I use it. I am a little suspicious of the ingredient phenethyl alcohol, which is in this. So this seems to be a processed natural fragrance that is present in many different kinds of flowers, and it gives a rose note to many different kinds of scent. And I've seen this ingredient before in some of the products that I've tried, and I don't think it's necessarily always an issue for me, but I think in this case they have it like as the 5th ingredient or something, and I think that that means that I'm getting a lot of it, and this does have a quite strong rose scent to it. So that would be my suspicion, that my skin just does not like that particular fragrance ingredient. And that is really too bad, because I do feel like if a product has probiotics in it, that I would like to be able to really use it. But in this case, I don't think this is the right one for me. Now, recently I purchased some products from Jennifer Aniston. It's called Lolavie, and she has a whole hair care line. And I was really not sure that I was going to like it at all, but I feel like my hair did really well with that line. And I'm wondering if the reason for that is because almost all of her products do have probiotics in them. And I think that, although I think the main issue with my hair is that it needs more moisture, and that putting oil on it before shampooing has been really, really helpful for it, I do think that maybe the probiotics are helping also. And so if I have products like this one, that I think that if I have extras like this, I just try to use it up. And I think the place for me to use this one up is on my hair. Now, I do have the Drunk Elephant version of the probiotic spray like this, and I felt like that one was even more annoying to my face, so I'm going to try using that on my hair as well. But this one seems at least better than the Drunk Elephant one, but still not appropriate for my own sensitive skin. So next I have 2 products, both of which have a chemical in them that is called butyl salicylate. And this is officially known as a sunscreen booster, but it really seems to be a chemical sunscreen that has not been approved by the FDA, but that still is working very much like other chemical sunscreens that have been approved. And the structure of it and the functionality of it seems to be virtually identical to the approved chemical sunscreen that is called octisalate. And so if you're interested in this, I did a whole video on this as my last video, so you can get more information about that from that video. So for me, I have found that all of the products that I have tried that have had BOS in them have been irritating to my skin. So I don't think that my skin likes this particular ingredient, just as it doesn't like other chemical sunscreens. And I think that this is more problematic than the ethyl ferulate that is in the Kosas Revealer Foundation, at least for me. Now, obviously, some people can be reactive to different kinds of things, so other people may find the ethyl ferulate to be even more irritating. In any case, the first of these products is the new Kosas BB Burst. Now, this is not even listed as being a sunscreen at all on the label, even though it has zinc oxide as the first ingredient after water, and then butyl salicylate as the 3rd ingredient after water. And I did unfortunately find this product to be really irritating to my skin, which was too bad because I do think it looked nice on my skin. This is a product that is has a lot of moisturizing ingredients in it. So it has squalene, sodium hyaluronate, copper tripeptide 1. I think that it looked nice on my skin. I think that it did not exacerbate my wrinkles very much. I think that it gives a nice little bit of a sheen to it. It doesn't give a lot of coverage, but I thought it was giving me some coverage. So I think that if I did not mind using chemical sunscreens, and if I wasn't irritated by it, that it could be a very nice foundation. So I think that it really depends on what you're looking for and what your sensitivities are, but for me this was not something that worked. Now this product does have also the phenethyl alcohol in it. It seems to be a much smaller amount of that. The rose fragrance, as far as I'm concerned, is very, very mild. I did hear from someone, not fit for print beauty, whose channel I watch all the time. She seemed to think that the scent was really strong for her, especially when she first put it on her skin. I didn't notice it as being that strong. I didn't find the scent to be objectionable. It's possible that in this case the phenethyl alcohol was contributing to my skin irritation, but there have been a lot of products that I have used that have had phenethyl alcohol in them that I haven't found irritating. So I'm not convinced that that's the reason that I'm finding this one to be irritating. But in any case, it did irritate my skin, and so I stopped being interested in using it. And then Kosas also makes a sunscreen that I think is very similar to the BB Burst product. So like the BB Burst product, it has zinc oxide in it, it has BOS in it, and it did irritate my skin a lot. It also has the same sorts of positive skin conditioning ingredients in it as the BB Burst. So it has some sodium hyaluronate, hexapeptide 12, which is supposed to help with strengthening of the skin barrier. And it has some melatonin in it, and it has some lactic acid. I usually do okay with lactic acid as long as it's fairly mild, so I doubt that that is the issue with this product. It does have a little bit of the phenethyl alcohol in it again, but again, the rose scent to me is not very strong. For other people, maybe it's stronger. Now, I am not saying that this is going to be a bad sunscreen for everyone, and I think for some people it could be even more attractive because of the use of the chemical sunscreen in it. It's going to probably be giving you more sun protection from UVB rays because that product is in there, and it may be a little bit more cosmetically elegant. So it really depends on what you're looking for. But for me, I don't seem to be able to tolerate BOS, so I am not using this product. And then the final product that I have here is the Kosas Grow Potion. And this is supposed to be a product that you put on both your eyebrows and your eyelashes to make them grow better. And I certainly have issues with both my eyebrows and my eyelashes, so I would like to be able to find something that would make them grow better. And it certainly is also the case that most of the products like this that are on the market tend to have some problematic ingredients in them, prostaglandins, and so those are supposed to do a very good job of making eyebrows grow and eyelashes grow, but they also are supposed to cause hollows under the eyes and thinner, wrinkled, and darker skin. Now that's an actual drug. It's an over-the-counter drug, but it's actually FDA approved. But I certainly don't think that I want to be using anything that has prostaglandins and that's making my under eye area look worse. So there are two particular ingredients that are the prostaglandin kind, and this one from Kosas does not have those ingredients in it. It's supposed to be a more natural and safer product, and so I decided to give it a try. So I did not feel comfortable putting this on my eyelashes, but I did put it on my eyebrows, and what I found with this mostly was that after a few minutes of putting it on my eyebrows, I felt like I could start to taste it, and that it really did not taste like something that I wanted to have in my body. So I decided to give up on this, and I also feel like my eyebrows were a little bit annoyed by it. And so I think that this is not a product that I'm going to be continuing to use, which is too bad because it was kind of on the expensive side. I am still interested in doing things that would help my eyebrows and my eyelashes. And I think that what I'm going to try next, I've been putting some collagen powder in a smoothie every day, and I'm hoping that that might help a little bit. And I also am thinking that I'm going to start using castor oil on my eyebrows and eyelashes, because there are some studies that are suggesting that those are just as helpful in terms of helping with the hair growth in those areas as other types of products are. So I think it'll be worth it for me to give that a try, and maybe one of those or both of those will help me a little bit with this, but this is not the product for me, I don't think. So thank you very much for watching all the way to the end of the video, and if you have tried any Kosas products, then please let me know what you thought of them. And in addition, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, then I hope you will go ahead and do that. And Coco and I love you very much, so thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.
La ba da la 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 la,